Hey guys, I hope y'all are having a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. This video should be coming out around the time of the holidays. So I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you guys and I wish you guys the best in 2026. And I wish you guys a very, very happy holiday. So today, as you could have guessed by the title of today's video, I'm going to autistically rant about the Holosun 507C X2. And I'm going to talk to you guys about features that I like about this pistol dot and some things that I'm not really a big fan of, as well as just my experience with it. To give you guys some background, some backstory, and some lore about this pistol dot, I purchased it about 4.5 years ago because I had shot the dog piss out of my Glock with the stock plastic sights, and I just wanted to upgrade my shooting experience. So I had a good friend who had the Holosun 507C, but he had the ACSS version of it with a green chevron on there. I wasn't a big fan of that, but he really liked it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get the Holosun 507C. So kind of talking about the build quality of this optic, this is made out of 7075 T6 aircraft grade aluminum. This is the strongest aluminum you can actually get on the market. This optic has held up very, very well for me. There are some dings and little dents on it, but that's just from normal use and throwing this thing around and just blasting the shit out of it anytime that I can to make an example of how well this thing works if you try to use the optic to rack it. This thing has held up very well for me. I love it. There are two little portholes in here. Those are to release any excess water, like if you're shooting in the pissing rain or whatever. Thank God for those, because I have shot this thing in the worst rainy conditions ever. The buttons on here, very positive, very clicky. I love it. And then also the dials on here for zeroing, they're very positive. You can feel anytime that you make an adjustment for them. So that's really cool. I really like that. It makes it easy to know if something's changed, as well as the battery compartment on this pistol. So as you can see, it's on the side and it allows you to be able to change the battery without having to take the red dot off the pistol. Now this is awesome because with optics like the Trijicon RMR Type 2, you have to take the whole optic off, which means when you put it back on, you have to retorque it, you have to do everything to put it back on there properly, and then you have to re-zero your pistol, which, we're in 2025. I'm just not a big fan of that. As good as that optic is, I just don't want to do that. Now, the screws on this thing are absolutely amazing. I haven't had them walk on me at all. A little pro tip: when you guys are mounting this optic onto your pistol, make sure you're torquing them down to 15 inch-pounds. Use blue Loctite and make sure you're not using screws that are too long, especially on the extractor side, because I did have a stint where I had a lot of issues from this pistol in terms of failures to extract, because I took the optic off for a little bit, put it back on, and when I put it back on, I used the wrong size screws, causing the new screw that I put on there to impact my extractor plunger. So just make sure you're not using a screw that's too long. So some features of this pistol optic that I want to go over. The most prominent one you're going to see on the Holosun 507C X2 is going to be the solar failsafe. Now, what this does is it allows you to run your pistol optic pretty much a little bit after the battery has died, and it allows you to save some battery life. I have found with this, it just hasn't been that useful just because I'm changing my batteries once a year and I just never really needed it. Another thing going into the solar failsafe as well is it does act as a sort of auto adjustment if you set that. And I'm also just not the biggest fan of it because a lot of times if you're shooting into a room that's very dark or you're shooting somewhere very light and your room conditions are different, it just isn't that useful. So I turn that off. I leave it on just where I set all of the brightness settings to this. This also does have a lockout feature. There's nothing to do with the solar failsafe. So if you are holstering this weapon or you're drawing your weapon, your buttons aren't going to change your brightness if you introduce that lockout feature. So that is pretty useful, especially if you're holstering and reholstering your gun all the time, as you should be, because you're training. So another feature of this pistol optic is going to be its MRS system. And what that is a multi-reticle system. And that is going to be a 32 MOA circle and then a 2 MOA dot. Or if you wanted, you could just do the 32 MOA circle and the 2 MOA dot. This is something that if you're a big fan of EOTechs, you might like it, but Me personally, I'm a huge fan of EOTechs. I fucking love them, right? But I will never use the 32 MOA circle with the dot. It's just, I'll never use it. It's just too much noise for me. I think it's very unnecessary. A lot of people can argue that this is going to be useful because of competition or folks who are going to be training on a pistol dot for the first time, right? Now, when I introduce people to pistol optics, I absolutely never use the 32 MOA circle with the dot. I just go off of the dot. I just teach them how to use the dot. It's unnecessary to me. I'm not a big fan of it personally. It doesn't, it doesn't ruin the reliability of the pistol or anything like that, of course. It's just a feature that I don't think is going to be necessary for most people, given the size of the optic, as well as just how much space that's going to be taking up on your target. Now, if you're someone who is in the competition world, you might like it. Me personally, I don't think it's necessary. Also, this does have a shake awake. So if I set this pistol down for 10 minutes and I don't touch it, it's going to automatically turn the optic off, which helps saving battery. I don't think it's the most useful thing there. It's nice. I would definitely like that on any pistol optic I have, but it's just not as necessary because this battery life is 50,000 hours, so about 5 years. And I'm changing my batteries every year. But if you're someone who doesn't change your batteries that often, that might be very useful to you. So this is a 50,000 hour battery life. If you leave it on the medium setting, I put mine on 2 settings under the highest. So there's about 10 for regular and then 2 for night vision. I don't use the ones for night vision just because I don't own night vision. It is a Trijicon RMR footprint, which is really good because it allows for compatibility with other optics. For me, I had to get my slide milled, so I'm married to this footprint unless I use a plate, but I don't like plates just because that raises the height of the optic. So if I want to swap this out for a Trijicon RMR or Trijicon RCR as well, I can with this optic. So that's really cool. I think Holosun was making a very big brain move when they decided to go with the RMR footprint, just because of that reason. Backwards compatibility is always really, really good for anyone that wants to run different optics or try different things, which is, variety is the spice of life. You need that, right? Glass clarity on this thing is absolutely amazing. There is a little bit of a blue tint to it. I haven't found that to be an issue for me in my shooting experience, at least. Some people don't like that, but I don't really care because, one, it's not even that, it's not that very deep of a blue. It's not that strong. The glass is very, very clear. No issues in that aspect. You do get a little bit, almost like a 1.1 or a 1.2 magnification with this. And I'm not the biggest fan of it, even though I've trained around it, where if you look at something just raw through your eye and then you look at it through the optic, it does magnify just a little bit. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind of with this optic. Now, in terms of Holosun and the warranty, I haven't had any issues, of course, with any of my Holosun optics, but I do have a friend who did have an issue with a Holosun optic. It wasn't even a pistol optic, but he had issues. He went to Holosun and they kind of gave him a lot of trouble for it. He ended up being like, fuck Holosun, I'm never doing anything with Holosun again. So that is one thing you're going to want to keep in mind. That's what I know from my experience. The price of this optic is around $300. I think that's very good, and I do like that, just because your Trijicon RMR is out there. The Type 2 is like $500 some now, and the RCR and then the Trijicon RMR HD are going to be running like $757. And I think it's a really good deal. I'm not a big fan of the MRS system on this optic, and I'm not a big fan of the solar failsafe on here. You can save a lot of money just by avoiding those options. They're just unnecessary. I'm going to tell you guys that I don't recommend you purchase this optic with that on there. You don't need the multi-reticle system at all. You don't need the solar failsafe. It's just unnecessary. Save yourselves a little bit of money. Put that money that you would save towards training and just get very proficient with this optic, because this is a very good optic. It's going to serve you well, and I'm a big fan of it. Guys, that just about does it for me. I hope you guys liked today's video. If you liked what I shared, please leave a like and a comment. It helps me out a lot. And nevertheless, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys have a very great 2026. I love y'all. God bless you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.